In August of 2010, Australians went to the polls to elect a prime minister. I don't think any of them expected the results that would come out of this. In Australia, just like most of the regular world, there are two parties that grab the narrative in their politics. That being the left wing Labour Party, who will always win a plurality of seats, and the Liberal Party, which go into coalition with the National Party and are usually just called the Coalition. And those two parties together combine their seat totals in order to form a potential majority. The coalition was, as we'll call them from now on, was led by Tony Abbott, somebody who was really controversial in Australian politics long before he was made the leader in December 2009. He was really polling behind the Labour Party, who were the incumbent leaders, led by Kevin Rudd up until June 2010, when he was overtaken by his deputy, Julia Gillard, who would be going into this election as the incumbent prime minister. Opinion polls had showed that it was going to be a close election and probably a minority government for the coalition because of the infighting from the Labour Party eventually spilling into the voters not voting for them. However, I don't think anybody expected how close the election results truly were. On the 21st of August, 2010, 93.2% of Australians went to the polls to elect the Prime Minister. And the winner was, well, nobody. Both Labour and the coalition got 72 seats, and you needed a bit more than that, 76, to become the Prime Minister. So that means there were a couple of other smaller parties that were going to affect how the government goes on for the next 3 years. There were six MPs who did not belong to the Labour or the coalition parties and had to decide for themselves who were they going to support in confidence and supply. Independent MP Bob Katter and National Party of Western Australia MP Tony Crook declared their support for the coalition, upping their seats to 74 and will put them at the hung parliament. However, the other four, from the Green MP Adam Brandt and the three other independent MPs, Andrew Wilkie, Rob Okershott, and Tony Windsor, decided to support Julia Gillard, giving her the win. However, she had to go back on one of her promises. You see, in an attempt to get more voters, Julia Gillard said this.
There will be no carbon tax under the government I lead.
That promise alone is probably the only reason why she even got 72 seats in the first place. But in order to, actually be the prime minister, she had to cave to the smaller party's demands and introduced a carbon tax. This was exactly probably the reason why she was knifed in 2013 for Kevin Rudd in that election, who did damage control as they were knocked off of the prime ministership by the coalition. In fact, the Labour Party wouldn't go on to form government until 2022, which was 9 years after that election. Julia Gillard ended up winning the closest election in Australian history. However, it led her party to going 9 years in opposition. So, what do you think? Was it a positive thing or was it a negative thing that Julia Gillard ended up winning this?